Right, it is about 6 o'clock on Saturday the 30th of March. Yesterday, I was in the workshop all afternoon rubbing down my shutters from the park home and then painting them with quite expensive paint I got from Home Base, special exterior gloss. And the intention was to take them home today so I could fit them tomorrow, Easter Sunday, and then have a nice day off on Monday. Imagine my disappointment when I came in to collect them. Look how streaky they've turned out. I don't know if you can see that. All the paints, well, half of it seems to be it's all separated to the thing. All light and dark blue in different shades. Yes, it's shiny, it's glossy, but it's bloody awful. So now I'm going to have to, I've emptied the paint out again and what I've got left, I think I've got enough for a second coat. And I've basically mixed it as if I was doing a Victoria sponge. Hopefully I won't do it this time, but I'm going to be here till it's probably going to be dark time when I finish painting these, but what can you do? Bloody things. Right, it is now, it's dark outside for a start, it's now about 7 o'clock. I've just spent the last 2 hours putting on flattening down and putting on a second coat of this home-based paint. And you can see it goes on light and then it just dries randomly dark and patchy. Now of course, immediately you start to blame yourself. Perhaps it wasn't stirred right yesterday, although I did stir it thoroughly. So today, I emptied it out, the whole tin, to make sure there was no deposits in the bottom, which there weren't, into another container and stirred it like I was baking a cake. Mary Berry would have been proud. There's absolutely no way that wasn't stirred properly yesterday, or indeed, certainly not today. And I stirred it all the time I was applying it as well. But you can see, when you think that, well, okay, maybe it will dry out consistently. But I just got a feeling that when I come back, I'll probably leave it until Monday to give it every chance. But I might have just wasted 2 days of my holiday painting these things when I'm going to have to do the whole job again with a paint that doesn't do this. I'm very disappointed with that home-based paint. It was the right colour, what I wanted, but that is not an acceptable finish to go on the outside of my property. But I'm going to come back on Monday, going to give it every chance. I've done everything right. I've done it indoors. I prepped the surface properly, all flattened off, sanded, tack clothed it, did it in the dry, no moisture, fresh brush, thoroughly stirred on both occasions, and this is the shit finish that this paint has given me. Obviously it's wet at the moment, but I pretty much guarantee when I come back on Monday it's going to look pretty much the same. Very disappointing. Waste of money and, more importantly, waste of my time. We'll see. Right, as if this couldn't get any worse than it already is. Just to recap, I took all the shutters off at home a couple of weeks ago. Spent an entire evening rubbing them all down and flattening them all off, ready for painting. Bought some special exterior paint from Home Base. But when I painted them, I got this horrible mottled light and blue effect, which is not acceptable. Stirred the paint to hell and back to make sure it wasn't my fault. Did another coat, same result. Then went to B&Q, bought some expensive weather shield exterior paint to try to paint over it. It still came through. So now I decided I'm just going to have to strip them back. So I brought them all into work today. Today's Saturday. It's now Saturday evening after work. I thought I'll get them all stripped off tonight, get them primed, and then I can paint the top coat tomorrow. So I've started doing a heat gun on it. And what do I find? These hinges, which to all intents and purposes I assumed were metal, and now appear to be plastic or some horrible gungy stuff. So I keep scraping it away, expect it to come onto a metal surface, and I think it's plastic. So, what the hell? Now I'm going to have to take off all these blooming straps and probably have them strapless if I'm having them at all. Stop laughing, Mariel. Yeah, Jesus, this is turning into a goddamn nightmare. And I'm going to drill these things out because they're not screws, I think they're riveted. Prise them off and see what we've got. But anyway, more as it bloody happens. As I suspected, plastic. Bloody things. Right, they're all going to come off now, aren't they? Right, here's the situation so far. I'm now in the backyard at work. It must be getting on for 6:30, 7:15. Bought this tin of Nitramors. You can see it there, 2 litre tin. Cost about 28 quid from Amazon. So I knew that those little half-litre tins you get from B&Q wouldn't be enough. Feels like there's only about 1 litre in it. It's not going to be anywhere near enough. Anyway, followed the instructions to the letter, which is dab it on, don't brush it on. Wait 10 minutes, and then put another coat on where it's blistering. Now, that's 10 minutes. I don't see any bloody blisters. Very little reaction. Of course, on the website, the bloke puts it on and like magic, it's almost like sulfuric acid. Things start bubbling and moving. But I'm not seeing much of a reaction on these 3 doors. I'll go through the motions, put the second coat on, and I'll give it a scrape, but I don't think this is going to work very well. But then again, that's no surprise to anybody who's familiar with this fiasco. But I'm going to have a quick cup of tea. I'm going to put a second coat on in a second, then come back. I'm going to wait 40 minutes then before you can scrape it off, by which time I reckon it will have dried hard into a crusty sort of immovable mess, but we'll see. Got my gloves, doing everything properly. So I'll do a conclusion in a little while, but so far I'm not impressed. Right, so part 2. We had to wait 10 minutes. We applied our second coat to what was supposed to be blisters, which I couldn't see any of, and then we had to wait 40 minutes for scraping. Now I've done these 3 doors, 2 coats, and now we're going to try the scraping. I'm not a betting man, but I reckon in a few minutes I'll be cursing and saying it's done no good whatsoever. We'll see. Right, I waited the required 40 minutes, came out to scrape, and I would say that's been a resounding failure. Just about took off 1 micron of paint off the top, but we're still about 10 to go. At this rate, I'll need about 5 gallons of the stuff just to finish these doors. And now it is now pissing down with rain. So it's 7:10. I'm going to go home and come and resume wasting my time tomorrow evening. Bye for now. Right, latest update. This is Sunday, and it must be about 3 o'clock by now. That's what I've achieved since 10:30. So I've taken 2 of the doors, stripped them down with the paint stripper, and then rubbed them down by hand, and then orbital sanded them, so they should be ready for paint. But I've had enough for today, and I'm going to go home. My arms ache. Only, 6 more of those to do? But enough for today, so home time, I think. Right, progress report. It is, Sunday the, 20th, something like that, April. I'm at work, as one can see. Been here since about 10 o'clock this morning. It's now about 3:30. In that time, I have managed to sand 2 boards. I've still got 2 more of the total of 6 to go. I managed to get the straps off these 2 this morning, and they're all bagged up. I will have to soak them in the now pretty anemic Nitramors these days for a couple of days, I expect. In a while, hopefully that will sort them out. They are, one would hope, ready for undercoating, priming. So I've just got this one and this one to do. Well, apart from the 2 that are still on the building. But I just don't know whether to carry on now. So some here, which is probably the thing to do, or go home and do some housework. Press on, I suppose. Right. Right. It's another Sunday. Don't know how many Sundays I've done on these bloody shutters now, but anyway. 5 down, 1 to go. And then I can start painting them. And if they start reacting, then I'm just going to set fire to them. Anyway, it's about 11 o'clock Sunday. I've just spent an hour or quarter doing that last one there. This one, I guess, will take probably 2 hours because I'd already 3/4 of the way finished that one last time. So what was it, 11 o'clock now? Probably 1 o'clock. Time I painted them, 2 o'clock. Anyway, we'll have a quick cup of coffee and just make a start. It'll be worth it in the end, I keep telling myself. Right, progress. It is now 20 to 2. I think I started that last one at 11 o'clock. So it's taken 2.5 hours to heat gun that off and rub it all down and so forth. So that's all of them, apart from the 2 that are still on the building. Rub down. Now I think cup of tea or coffee, and then we'll see. We'll have a look at the primer I've got. No doubt it's the wrong sort of primer for the paint. And apart from anything else, I probably won't have enough top coat to do 2 coats anyway, so I'll have to buy another 30 quid tin of Oxford Blue. But we'll have a cup of coffee and look at what primer's recommended, and perhaps might do the priming today and call it a day after that, but we'll see. Getting there. Right, time for an update. Last one I think was last Sunday when I finished sanding off all the boards ready for painting. So I think it was Monday, yeah. So Monday I came in here, arranged all the boards on a trestle, which I thought was a good idea, so that I could have like a production line, paint them all. But I only did 2. I did one once I'd sucked all the dust and stuff off them there, made sure they're properly clean. I painted that one, okay, with one thin coat, and the other one I did slightly differently insofar as I rubbed it down with, it's not out there, it's in, where the hell is it? Okay, it's in there. I wiped it down with white spirit before I painted it. So let's have a look and see if there's a difference. Now that one, you probably can't see it in the pictures. A bit yellowy. It looked like it might be reacting. And this was the one I painted inside without wiping it down. Although I had dusted it thoroughly and rubbed it down. And this one I did with white spirit and then painted it. I just felt, well, you might be able to see it better there, that one reacted, and whereas this one not so bad. But anyway, having done that as an experiment, I decided that I would then, rather than paint them all and risk them all turning out reacting with a top coat, I would, as there's an orbital sander here, I would go and buy some orbital sanding discs on, when did I do that? Last night, Wednesday. Drove up to, I bought them online when I went up to Parsons Road, what do they call it? Place? Not Tool Hire. Might be Tool Hire. And bought 2 packs of 10 orbital sanding discs to go with the orbital sander that was here. And tonight, which is Thursday, I thought I would thoroughly rub them all down with that. I've got 2 different grades, 120 and 240. And I thought I'll wipe them down with the white spirit, and when I paint them, there'll be absolutely no excuse why they don't work. Anyway, so I'll get changed tonight, come in here, all ready to go. And what do I find? The orbital sander, which has been living there for months, untouched, has gone. Okay, it wasn't mine, it was Roy's and Steve's, and I think he must have come and picked it up to use up at Westwood or something. So I've come in here tonight with round orbital sanding discs with nothing to attach them to. So I am basically buggered in that direction. So all I've been able to do tonight is use my multi-tool. I've got a few of these little triangular discs, not many because I use loads of them. In the first stage I've got a few, some of them only a couple of, we'll see how we go. But I'll have to use those and see how we go. But that was obviously a total waste of money as it turns out. So I have just sanded using that tool, that one, which is still not entirely clean. But I'll change the head and see if that makes a difference. But at the end of the day, I think that's about as good as they're going to get, and I'll wipe them down with white spirit before painting. So that's where we are. It must be about 6:30 by now. See how we get on. Don't want to miss the snooker later, so we'll crack on. Okay, update. It's about 6:50 now, Thursday evening. So I've just explained what a waste of time it was getting orbital sanding pads, as the orbital sander has disappeared. So I've gone over them all again to a lesser or greater extent with the multi-tool sanding thing. You're never going to get all this crap off them. But what we've got now is, I'm going to try and put a coat of paint on them tonight. That one on the left is the one that I wiped down originally with white spirit after sanding and painted outside. That one, okay, I've gone over it a bit so I don't get the wrong idea, but that one I painted inside without white spirit, and the rest of them have all been sanded and white spirited. So it'd be interesting to see how they turn out. But this is last ditch to the saloon, really. Right, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, let the white spirit dry off a little bit, and then we're going to try and put some paint on them. And of course then the skies will open and it will rain. So I don't really want to paint them inside, just to eliminate any possibility of having any silicone spray in the air, which could affect it. Tiff doesn't think it would, but you never know. Right, so coffee, then painting. Right, it's about 7:25 now. I've got a coat of paint on 6 of them. Obviously these first 2 have had a coat before, thin coat, and the rest haven't. They all look in various degrees of yuckiness, particularly that last one. Don't know why that should be, but they are all sanded, hoovered, and white spirited as recommended by the paint people. And now it looks like they might be rained on, but I'm going to leave them out and see what happens. Going home now to see the semi-final of the snooker. Right, God knows what time it is. Must be about 8 o'clock, I don't know. Saturday the 3rd, 4th, something of that, of May. Anyway, about 6 weeks after I started this balloon project, let's recap. Rubbed all these shutters down originally, flattened them, painted them with home base exterior blue paint. Had an awful reaction to that. They all dried all blotchy. Then tried to Nitromor's paint strip them, failed dismally. Then decided I had to hot air strip them. Spent weeks, takes over 2 hours for each panel to strip the paint off them. Then sanded them orbitally and with my multi-tool attachment. Then, and this is all on several consecutive weekends, it's not all at one time, this is weeks of work. Then last Sunday, spent another 6 hours, finally got the last one rubbed down. Wiped them down with white spirit as recommended. And then over a couple of nights this week, I primed them outside, so there'd be no contamination from any chemicals. And then today, Sunday, rubbed them down with some fine wet and dry, as recommended, and I've put the first coat of gloss on them. And all of them, to a greater or lesser extent, mainly greater, have all reacted. Look. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck? Look at that. Okay, there'll be a second coat, but I don't know what the hell to do. I give up. They're just going to have to look distressed. But I've rubbed them down to bare wood. Cleaned them with white spirit, worked outside, mixed the paint thoroughly, primed it, 3 coats of primer, rubbed down between coats, top coat. The best paint you can buy, £30 for 750ml. If I can give up, and you watch tonight, it's going to rain and ruin it anyway, so. Right, I'm going home, I've had enough. You bastards. Right, it is now Bank Holiday Monday. Just to continue the saga, last time I left you, I just painted all of the first top coat on the shutters and left them to dry. That was Saturday. So they've had sun, Saturday? Yes, it was Saturday. So they've had a day and a half to dry, and I came back today to put the top coat on. Now, this is the paint I've been using. You can see that. This is £30 a tin, that size, and it's Oxford Blue high gloss. And that's the important thing to recognise here, high gloss finish. And this is what I've come in to this morning. Flat as a witch's tit. All of them. Like I've done them in blue primer. And obviously insects and bird shit on them as well. But explain that to me. So I came in today expecting just to put a little top coat on. I come back to insects, bird shit, and it's about to rain as well. So, well, I'll put another. Well, I haven't got enough probably to put a top coat on all of them, but I will do something. This should be a comedy series. Well, it is, isn't it? Beyond a joke. Right, let's see what happens. Right, just quickly, if that is recording. So that's the matte finish after a high gloss first coat yesterday. And I've just painted that one indoors. I'm going to have a cup of coffee and see whether that either breaks out or starts going flat like that one. You wouldn't leave it the same paint. Right, update. I've now painted all of the, for the second coat, on all of the shutters. It's raining outside, so lucky I was inside. That's one bit of good news, but I can already see, you might be able to see there, they're starting to dry out matte again. What the flying fuck? Particularly in the lines, in the bits in between. It just seems to be impervious to paint, this fucking wood. Bear in mind that's got 2 to 3 coats of primer on it after being rubbed down, well, heat stripped, nitramore stripped, heat stripped again, rubbed down with an orbital sander, primed, 2 to 3 coats with rubbing down in between. Then first coat of this paint, which is the most expensive exterior paint I think you can get, £30 for 750ml. I keep saying that. Sorry about that. It's just bloody annoying. I'll come back tomorrow. Probably find they're all matte. I suppose the only next stage will be perhaps see if I can varnish them. But if this alien wood won't even take high gloss weather shield Dulux paint, maybe it'll shrug off varnish even though it's got 5 coats of paint between it and the wood. Anyway, so that's the paint. So I thought, okay, I've done that. Before I go home to watch the snooker, I will clean up the hinges so that if and when these actually do get finished, I can then put the hinges on. And my idea was not, once I clean them all up, back to pristine blackness. then I'll probably put them on as black and rather than painting over them. So anyway, I've had these hinges soaking in nitromors to get all the 50 years of paint off them for the last week, 10 days, in a Pyrex dish. Anyway, I came to dig them out today. That is what I've just scraped them to a bag. You've got to laugh. Bloody things have melted. Turns out plastic doesn't like nitromors. So that's the sludgy mess that's now left of all the hinges. So I've got no hinges now to go on them. Do I buy some more? Well, I think I'll wait until this fiasco gets to a stage where I'm in a position to put them up again. Anyway, so there we are. Back at work tomorrow, so I'll come back and find these all blotchy and matte finish I expect. I'll have to chuck this out. I'll give that a serious clean because that comes from my oven. But anyway, I can't do much more today. So back home to the World Snooker Final, which is quite exciting. And then back to work tomorrow. Right, okay. The fiasco continues. Right, we've got a bit of an update. I think the last video I did, I just painted was about to do the third coat of paint and what was left in the tin, having done 2 coats of top coat on the shutters, and they were getting to dry out matte. So this was the last ditch attempt to get a finish on them. So I painted them Wednesday and left them alone until Friday, when I knew I'd be breaking up for a week, and came in and found that they actually did look half decent. So yeah, that'll do. Just in the nick of time. So I brought them home, and as you'll probably recall, I've already melted all the hinges, which are made of plastic, so there's been development there, a bit of cleverness really. I thought, wonder if I can make them out of rubber. So this is a sheet of 3mm rubber I ordered off the internet. I did a rubbing using foil of the only remaining hinge on the building, which is just around the corner. I won't go there now. Made that into, well, let me just show you. Transfer that to the foil rubbing to paper and then to cork. And then I've cut out some of the rubber, which I've got here. I've done 3, it's taken me about an hour. But they don't look too bad actually. So if we lay that down. I'm sorry about getting my fingers in the way. And just put these approximately where they'll go. About there, I suppose. And one there. And they're going to be fixed on with round-headed upholstery pins, things you do furniture upholstery with to give them a bit of a rustic look. I think that's going to look all right actually. And of course, if I like them looking like that, that means I've then got to do the 2 that are around the corner and take down the 2 that are on the front of the building, which are just in plain blue, and do them too. But I think that looks okay. So done 3. Right, okay. If things go to plan, this will be the end of a rather horrific set of videos about the blue shutters on my park home. They look all right now. I hope you'll agree. Their new hinges and so forth. But as you'll have seen, it wasn't always the case. Hope you enjoyed the Schadenfreude, I think that's the right word, isn't it? Enjoyed the suffering of others as you watched me struggle to get them into a usable state again after I took them down and started rubbing the old paint off them. It took 2 months, but now it's all done. I think it was probably worthwhile. Looks much better with them up, despite what you say, Meryl. So there we are. Okay, I'll see you soon.